Discount Podcast.
Welcome in, you cheap beggars, to another episode of Discount, the bargain bin gaming podcast hosted by three people so cheap you're only getting oranges for Christmas.
Oh. No. I don't like oranges.
Okay, Satsumas.
Oh, lovely.
Little oranges.
Perfect.
I am one of your hosts. My name's Josh, and plugging into Player 2.
I am another one of your hosts. I am Darren, and decking the halls with bells of holly and the balls of our enemies.
It's me. I'm Karis. Hi.
Brilliant. Yeah, what a smooth intro. Much better than our last one.
We're getting better.
I was very distracted by the fact that you didn't dance.
I do apologise.
So I really paid back on the dancing this time because I didn't want to embarrass myself.
By the last episode of the season, we'll be so efficient, we'll order our intros at the same time, and it'll be great.
Perfect. It sounds like one of those weird, the fake universe is created by a computer.
Yes.
This is how humans exist.
This is how humans talk.
Yeah. But hello and welcome in to the final episode of 2022. Not of the season, but of the year, I suppose. And it's a very special one because we've been checking our list and checking it twice, and we're going to be doing games of the year.
Yeah.
That famous one. This week we are looking. Well, this episode we are going to go and reveal each of our top 5 games that we've played this year, however many or few that we've actually played. We'll do some honourable mentions about games we've played but didn't make it quite onto our list. We'll talk about games that we wish we'd played, games for a few categories we've made, and just generally be discussing games we thought were pretty solid, but, and just make some categories for them. That's pretty much it. That's the idea. We're going to be doing a bunch of discussion, talking about games, enjoying ourselves, and having a good old time.
Our normal format is really creative, and this is not.
No, unfortunately, we would normally be doing PS Plus games at this point, but because of when we're recording it, which also links into our games of the year, we're recording this right at the beginning of December, even though we are dressed rather Christmassy with festive jumper from Darren, a very much independent Wales Christmas jumper from Keris, and me in my festive Gremlins outfits. Not in a Gremlin outfit. If you aren't watching this, don't expect to come to YouTube and I'm dressed as Gizmo.
I really, really wish that you were now. The people listening to this, if they come onto YouTube, it's going to be a sore disappointment.
Yeah, I'm just wearing a top and a
It'll be
hat that says Gremlins, So it's still Christmassy, but, my own version of Christmas, in black.
It could be worse. You could be wearing a Die Hard top.
I really wish I was.
I'm really glad you aren't.
Just a wife beater.
Not a Christmas film.
I hold no opinion. Just a middle ground it.
Have you never seen it?
No.
Yeah, that's a shame.
Of course not.
You're probably better off.
When does it take place?
That's the only thing Christmassy about it, is that it takes place at Christmas. There is nothing Christmassy about that film.
He kills a guy, wraps him up in Christmas lights with a Santa hat which says ho 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 on his chest. How can it not be Christmassy?
How is killing a man Christmassy?
Well,
how is killing a man Christmassy?
Isn't Christmas about Jesus being killed? But no, he was born then.
So his emotions were killed because he had to be born into the world.
Yeah, that guy who bought a bunch of fucking gold and saw his mates bringing myrrh and frankincense.
Oh, he got gypped.
He was dead inside.
Yeah. He was like, guys, come on, we were supposed to do equal value.
Smelly rock.
Oh, fuck. Yeah.
I'm never doing Secret Santa with you again. I gave a price limit.
Equal value, guys. It was up to this.
I mean, following on from that, wasn't Frankincense Monster dead to begin with?
Yeah. Oh my god.
I
can't believe you.
I hate you,
How dare you? How dare you?
I will appreciate you said frankincense monster. Yeah. You didn't just say frankincense because that wouldn't have worked. It wouldn't have worked. So I do appreciate it. Anyway, we'll look at our games of the year. So the first thing we're going to talk about, we're going to go through our top 5 games. And the way it's going to work is we don't know each other's top 5 lists. We've got rough inclinations of what other people have voted for and what they think there's going to be. We'll go around in a circle and we'll start. And when someone mentions a game, if it's in your top 5 or higher in your top 5, we'll hold horses and then we'll come back and discuss it when it gets that higher point. We haven't decided who's going to go first. Do you have a random number generator, Darren, that you can whip up?
My brain too.
Well, that's just that. No, because you're choosing. Darren is number 1.
Okay.
Keris, you're number 3. I am number 2, and the person to go first is number 1.
It's
so
me.
Darren. So, what is your number 5 game of the year?
My number 5 game of the year.
It's very exciting. It's our first one.
I've made a little shift since we last discussed it. It's Horizon Forbidden West.
Oh,
my game of the year.
Funnily enough, it's on my top 5.
Is that higher up?
No, it's also 5th.
So number 5.
So we're happy to discuss.
Let's make sure. Karis, not higher on your list?
No.
Cool.
No. Is there a reason why it's not higher on your list?
This is something I'm going to talk about later because
you can talk about it now as well.
Basically, this is one of the ones that I wish I played this year. I got it with the PS5 and just haven't had a chance to touch it. I've heard amazing things. It's one of the ones I'm going to start to play at the beginning of next year, probably.
Brilliant. So yeah, Horizon Forbidden West. Why is it number 5 on your list, Darren?
It's great fun. It's a great continuation of the original one. Everyone loves Zero Dawn. It's probably one of the higher games of the year it came out. I would know for sure if I remembered what games came out that year. But it's just got super satisfying combat. I think a lot of the new stuff they've added is really interesting. I think it's got a lot more visual variety than the first one.
I think there's I was going to say far more biomes and stuff, but I suppose there are still quite a lot of biomes in Zero Dawn because you've got the sandy area.
Yeah.
But this is very much not just ice and sand. It's
a lot of sort of jungle and coastland, and I think
you've got
adds
the
a lot
underwater sections.
Yeah,
and
it
stuff,
adds a lot of like colour, a lot of life to it. The reason it is number 5 for me is because
the other 4 games are better.
I could not tell you a single fucking thing that happens in that game. I know I enjoyed it. I think it left zero impact on me. It just sort of... It was there and then it wasn't.
Out of interest, just to say, the games that may have been better than it the year it came out, potentially Zelda Breath of the Wild for certain people, not for you. But I was going to say, Resi 7 was up there. Wolfenstein 2 for some people. Nier Automata was also up there.
Oh, yeah.
Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice I think was worthwhile mentioning, and so was Neo. But there were lots of games that came out that year.
Yeah, so it would have still done well that year, but maybe not like super, super well.
I agree. I think it's a really good. I think it's a great build on the first one in great in sort of scheme of scope. So it's a massive, much bigger, and they're trying to round up more story.
Yeah.
I mean, there's elements from people from other worlds, and all of a sudden they're going, "Wow, we're really pushing the envelope of what we're expecting here." I found the combat less rewarding this time round than the first one. For some reason, I don't know what it was. Like, last time it was very much like, cool, I've got my bow, I'm doing this, and they go, here's a million extra, which they do in every game. And they go, here's the new version, look at all these extra bits. And I think it stripped this, by adding more, they got rid of some of the simplicity, intricacies that you had. They're like, look at this. However, I do think the story, although bigger, had a lot more tugging on my heartstrings in this one. Like, it really hit me at certain points. I was like, oh, fuck. Oh, no, I love you. Don't do this. So,
I also feel that the first one had a lot more... The first one feels like it had a very rounded story it was telling, and it had a lot of twists and turns, a lot of cool stuff happening. And this one felt a lot more like it was a follow-on from that. They set up a lot of shit and then sort of begrudgingly had to do that as the plot of the second game.
It's bad that I'm going to have a very similar gripe with a game that we're going to be talking about probably later in our top 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I think it visually... one of the most beautiful games I've played in a long time.
Absolutely incredible.
I'm looking forward to what they do with the VR stuff. I'm not going to be buying their VR game as soon as it comes out, but that's just my own personal thing because it's full price VR. I never want to go full in on those, but I'm excited to see what they do with it, and I want to see where this game progresses from this point. Yeah. So although, like I said, I don't remember a lot of it, I remember the big beats in there, and I remember some of the little story bits. The side missions were fun, and it was good to it, but it's a standard open world, explore everything, collect all the chests, and it's exactly the sort of game that ticks all the boxes for me.
Very well built, a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Great game.
Number
5, great game.
Number 5 is 5th on my list as well for that same reason. I think there are a few games that came out that I go, wow, I enjoyed that because it was more unique potentially, or it had a bit bigger sort of stereo, or I feel like bigger weights to it. But I think this game literally falls down because of how good its predecessor was for me.
Yeah, like the first one had the big Zero Dawn reveal.
Yeah.
And that is like a groundbreaking moment. Yeah. And a lot of the plot of this one is based around that idea, but it does mean you're sort of shackled to having to wrap up the story. Yeah. And there's a lot of cool stuff going on, and there is a lot of like good depth to that. Plotting, is it Beta, the girl?
Yeah.
She's a really interesting character to follow through. But yeah, I think it doesn't quite hit the first one.
Yeah.
No,
which is fine.
I think the difference is I got this game and I think I beat it and literally platinumed it in a week.
Yeah.
Because there was a game that came out later that month that I wanted to have it done before then.
We'll talk about that. It's a curse of Horizon.
So my issue there potentially is I didn't give it the love it deserved, but it's a fifth place for me. But still, really good game. If you haven't had an opportunity, and Karis, you haven't, I would play it. And I'm sure you'll. I loved it when I was playing it. When I was in there, I had a lovely time.
Okay, so great,
really good. What was your number 5 then? Because my number 5's already been revealed.
Okay, so just to clarify for those of you who are watching, if this is the first, for some reason, episode you've ever seen, my role in this podcast really is somebody who hasn't gamed a lot, but really enjoys games. So compared to the boys, my list is probably going to be very different because I have not played anywhere near as many games as you have. In fact, my top 5 literally is me rating the 5 games that have come out this year.
If we want to cover that very briefly, you've played about 5 games this year.
Yes.
I've played somewhere in the 12 to 15 range.
I'm just over 20.
Just over 20.
Yeah, I mean, I did a lot before this of like replaying games that I loved that didn't come out this year. So of the ones that came out this year, I'm basically ranking those. So my number 5 is a game I really enjoyed, which is The Quarry.
Oh,
Cool.
lovely. Yeah, so I've played it as well. We played it together.
Yes.
I haven't played
it
this
yet.
one. No.
Okay, so without spoiling anything, I'm not going to spoil anything. I really, really enjoy the games that House of Ashes released. I know
It's Supermassive.
Supermassive games. That's it.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed Man of Medan, which you guys discussed in your last season.
Yep.
I have loved. What's the other one that we played?
They also did Until Dawn.
Yes.
Was it Man of Medan, House of Ashes,
It's
and Little Hope?
Little Hope, then House of Ashes, then The Quarry.
Yes.
And
Now
now
the
they've
new
just
one.
released The Devil
The
in
Devil
Me.
in Me, yes.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed The Quarry because it had all the real makings of what is like it's a slasher. It takes influence from 1980s slashers.
It's an 80s campfire
Huge
slasher. Yeah.
influences from that kind of like 1980s slasher era, modernized in certain ways, a great cast. I love anything with, I think it's Brenda Song.
Brenda
her name
Song
is.
is
She's
in it, yeah.
class in it.
London Tipton.
Yes.
Sweet Life. Sweet Life.
The guy that was
I
in
was
Santa
really
Clarita
worried.
Diet, I can't remember what his name is. The kid in it,
Yeah.
the boy, he's great in it as well.
Justice Smith is in it as well.
I was so
Yeah.
worried the Sweet Life was going to just flop.
Yeah.
I'm very happy I got picked up.
Oh no, don't worry. I also watched The Sweet Life from Deck.
Yeah. But genuinely, I think the voice acting is great. The dialogue is great. The story is great. There's the way the narration works with the old lady in between who you have to find tarot cards for. There are so many twists and turns that I didn't expect as well because without spoiling anything, there are elements of slasher in there. There's elements of like creature feature in there. There's so many good horror elements that mishmash together in this game that I just loved it.
It feels supernatural at points. It's probably the best game they've done since Until Dawn, is what I would say. So it's a step up from Man of Medan. It feels full length. That's the issue I have with Man of Medan and those ones. They feel smaller because they are meant to be almost episodic, although they aren't. This feels full scale, big
I
one.
also got a much bigger feeling than I did from Man of Medan when you make a mistake. With Man of Medan, I always felt it was scary, but I always felt like, I'm kind of safe here. I'm all right here. If I do either of these things, it may not make much of a difference.
Yeah.
Whereas sometimes you would choose an option in The Quarry and you'd think, I fucked up. I have majorly fucked up here. This is not good. I shouldn't have done this. And there's an element of panic about it that I didn't quite have in Man of Medan. So I really enjoyed it. I really did.
Yeah, it was a welcome surprise. I wasn't expecting to have as much fun as I did with it. And the good thing, like Until Dawn, you have about 8 to 9 characters. Cool. You can do that. And they've got different modes to play it in. There's like a movie mode. There's a couch co-op mode. They encourage you to play it in different ways. So you are meant to be changing the controllers, which I know is what people with Until Dawn themselves, they would switch controllers whilst it wasn't made that way. They realised that's very much how people want to play it going forward. So a shockingly good addition.
That's basically what I heard all the reviews say.
Yeah.
So Until Dawn was good. Everything after it was House of Ashes. I've heard is
Fine.
Alright. It's the most alright of the 3 afterwards. And then The Quarry was like, okay,
they're back.
They finally got something at least in the same stratosphere as Until Dawn.
I think you do something in a woods setting and make it horror adjacent, like a proper tropey sort of thing where you know what they are. You're gonna succeed.
You're gonna be fine.
You're gonna succeed because people love that, and it's just reliving it, isn't it? Cool. So that's our number 5s, which is 2 Forbidden West and The Quarry. We'll work back. So we'll go with you this time rather than making Darren start.
Okay. I can guarantee this is a game that is only going to be in my top 5.
Okay.
But the game that I have done for number 4
I know what it is now.
is Disney Dreamlight Valley.
Yeah.
Technically, it's not supposed to come out until next year.
Okay.
It was an early release back in
Just
October,
make
September.
sure. Darren, is it in your top 5?
No.
No, that's not in mine. So
Okay,
yeah, it's
all right.
fine.
I'm actually kind of surprised that it wasn't in yours because the sheer joy that you had on your face when you were playing
It's
it.
number 5.5.
No. I don't even think it makes top 10 for me this year.
That's fair, and that's totally fair. But for me, no, I love this little game. I've said before in a previous episode that it is so stupid and it's so kiddie, and it's honestly for me kind of like jumping back in time to being like this little kid who loved Disney. I loved Disney as a kid. And it really took me back there when you're like meeting the characters and you're doing the tasks, and I just love it. It's magical.
It's Disney's version. So like before we had like Kingdom Hearts, which was Disney for making it into the ones who like the fighting and that sort of thing. And this is going, you loved, Animal Crossings and, and Sims and stuff. Like, here you go. Here's something for you. And like, it's really, it's a well put together concept of a game. Yeah. It does feel limited in places.
It does. To be fair, it's a mixed one for me only because when we say that, for example, it's like The Sims very much in its gameplay aspect, in that if I load up The Sims, it'll be maybe twice a year, I will obsess and hyperfixate over The Sims for hours, for days, and then I don't play it again for 6 months. And then I go back into it and I obsess and it's like that for me. I currently have not played Disney Dreamlight Valley for probably about a month and a half now.
Nice.
And I do want to play it again. Of course I do. But I know then that that's a month of my life gone until I stop again.
It's got the addictive quality of like, those old mobile games like, Tapped Out or something like that. It's like, Fling, you need to go back and check on this now. You're like, oh, okay, I'll go back. Which is how I think it's very much more, rather than, I know with you it's like that fixation, but it's those who like Animal Crossing.
I was going to say, it sounds real Animal Crossing vibes.
It really is.
Right, now I'm back in this loop. I have to commit to the loop.
Yes, and I think the thing that really got it for me as well is that, again, this is something I mentioned briefly before. I really it was not on my radar. It was not something I was really interested in at all. I'd heard about it. I was very much a Disney kid, but I wouldn't class myself, for example, as a Disney adult. It's not something that I like rewatching the films. It's not something I'm desperate to go back to Disneyland, but that's only because I was too pussy to go on all the roller coasters as a child, and I feel like I've missed an opportunity.
Splash Mountain's closed down now.
I don't think there was a Splash Mountain in Disneyland Paris. I've never been to America.
There was one that was based on, was it Songs of the South or something like that, which they've just closed down?
That is Splash Mountain, I think.
Yeah, I didn't go on that if it's in Paris. But that's for different reasons, as I said. With me, I only got it because I started seeing like people on Instagram posting videos and posting about how they were really surprised by it. And so I got it for my birthday because I was like, hey, I'd really like to try this out. And a family member got it for me, and it's just a really sweet game. And for all of its worth, I was going through a really hard time in work at one point, and I was really stressed. And that game gave me some really relaxed evenings.
It feels like an existence palette cleanser.
It was literally like, I've had a really shit day. I've had a really hard day. I am going to go home and I'm going to escape to my lovely little Disney escapism place. Yeah. And it was lovely. It was a comforting game at a time I needed it the most. And sometimes with games, I feel like that's what you need.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that. Cool. Should we move on to the next one then?
Yeah.
So my number 4.
Yep.
I don't know if it's on anyone's list. Is Stray. Not on anyone's list.
I haven't played it. Again, this is in my list of things that I want to play.
It would be maybe low top 10.
Yeah. I was one of those people who was really excited for this game in general. I know I've been champion. Normally the games I champion and can't wait to come out normally bomb immediately. Yep. And I do something wrong. I am
a curse.
Yeah, I am a beacon of poor things to come. Just in the night, like I'm the opposite of a lighthouse. I'm just sending them to the rocks. But Stray is, if you haven't played it, you are a cat going off, and you are, it's a futuristic sort of world, and you're trying to reunite with your family because you've been separated.
Yeah.
I mean, the opening of this game is heartbreaking.
It
really, really tugs at you like, no, I love you. I've just met you. But it's only I think it's about 8 hours in total to platinum this game, which is like 3 run-throughs. But I think I beat platinum this in about 2 days. I truly loved everything about that little cat and just running through and exploring. I just loved how it was built and constructed. the idea of the visuals, and I love that sort of. It's not post-apocalyptic. It's just like sort of a cyber dystopia, is how I would describe it. And you being like one of the only actual recognizable creatures still around is really fun because everything is now robots there. It's a nice little game that really did something new for me. I think that's why it deserves to be in this discussion of top 5 for me.
Yeah,
because it's something that was different. I wasn't expecting it to just captivate me as it did.
That's fair.
I can see why people don't like it.
I enjoyed what I played of it. I played like half to a third of it, maybe, and just haven't been back to it. I think a lot of it is carried by how much charm you find in doing mundane cat shit.
Yeah, and I love that.
I enjoyed it, and then it sort of started to wear a bit thin.
Yeah.
And then there's just about enough game to carry it through, but it's one of those ones for me that like I played half of it, and I moved on to something else. And I moved on to something else, and I moved on to something else, and it's just been on layer 3 of the backlog continuously.
I get that.
But I enjoyed it. I think it's really, I think it's a beautiful game.
That's it. It's
beautifully
really,
animated, really well realised. It is exactly what it is.
I think the thing that got it for me is how well they made a cat look quite moving. I think how the hell did they put those dots on a cat?
Yeah.
You can't even wrap it in a towel normally, a cat, and they've managed to wrap this thing up and film it.
You watch it move, you're like, that is a cat.
That is a cat. There is no way
that is a cat.
I will be honest, again, this is probably going to be a common theme for this episode. This is not one I've played, and one that when I saw the trailer for it, because you showed me the trailer for it, I may not be a Disney adult, but I am a fucking crazy cat lady. So, if you've listened to the last episode, which is our cooking episode, you'll know I got Final Fantasy 15, and I said I would die for the cat in Final Fantasy 15.
Oh, I would have died.
If there's a cat involved, I am in. I am there. I don't care if it is the shittest thing I will ever play in my life. I will play it. The fact that I haven't played this yet is a shock to me, but I've had other things to do and play. Yeah. So again, one for my list next
year. This game got announced in like a state of play. I think we're in a group chat going, cat game, cat game, cat game.
I was sold.
Yeah, cat game.
I was so sold. But yeah, that's my number 4. So what was your number 4 then, Darren?
My number 4, which I know full well is in another list, so we will not be talking about it yet, is Pokemon Legends Arceus.
That is in mine.
So it's higher up in your list then? So
yes.
So we will come back to it in a little while. So I'll move on to my number 3.
Well, do you want me to go to number 3 or do you want to do number 3?
I'll do number 3. We'll do the same pattern.
Yeah.
Especially because I didn't talk about it before. So I'll do my number 3. My number 3 game is God of War Ragnarok.
Which is in my list as well. As number 3. As number 3.
We're very synced up.
Yeah, very synced up.
We keep meeting each other.
Yeah, there's only going to be some outliers, I think.
And you'll never guess what.
If you draw a list, we'd be like an 8.
Yes.
We keep meeting.
Shocking surprise. It's in my list of games I wish I played.
Well, you still haven't finished the first one.
Well, that's the main reason, is that I wish that I didn't get so easily distracted so that I could have finished God of War and then go on to Ragnarok. But I'm so close to finishing one that it's not going to be a long time.
It's crazy that you haven't finished that one and I've already platinum Ragnarok in that time.
Yeah, but bear in mind, I'm not home a lot at the moment.
I'm not. It's just a crazy. It's one of those things that I am like. This is the game I'm going to blast through. Whilst you've got a bunch of different bots. But so God of War Ragnarok. Let's talk about that.
This is probably going to be a lot of people's like number 1 or number 2 game.
I think it's most people's number 1, number 2. It was almost my number 4. Stray was almost higher than this.
Yeah,
I really and ahed about that.
I think this again gets the same merits as Horizon got.
This is the game I pre-warned.
Looks incredible. Yep. It has really, really good combat. I like the additions to the depth of the combat.
Yeah.
Like you can sort of unlock new abilities, you can nicely chain those together. Mm-hmm. Like my new favourite one is when you're in combat, you can charge up like the ice on the axe.
Yeah, so
and that unlocks different abilities if you manage to charge up fully.
And there's certain enemies now that you need to be fighting with certain weapons because I know before we had the one which was just ice originally, wasn't it?
Yeah.
In one. Now there's just general shield further apart. So they have added different elements to it.
It's got a lot of really cool stuff. There's a lot of great set pieces. There's one early on where you're in a desert. I won't say any more than that.
Yeah.
And that is a really cool bit of like, it gives you a literal sandbox to play in and unlock this cool bit. And it feels like that will progress on. I will say full out, I haven't finished the game. I'm like 15 hours in, I think.
I won't spoil anything when I talk about it, but I think, I agree. It, again, looks amazing. They've made steps again from the first one, which is only 4 years old, 2018 that was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And it looks good, but it suffers the same issues that Forbidden West does in the fact that the first one is so contained in a personal journey of discovery and a self-projected task to complete, that when you complete it in one, they've done that now, and they've gone, look at what we've done, big reveal, and you've gone, right, now we have to try and wrap all this up, and they've basically wrapped up in one other game when originally everyone thought it was going to be a 3-story saga.
From what I've had it so far, it feels very much like an unwinnable situation.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like there wasn't enough content to make this 2 games, but there's too much content for one.
Yeah, very much the case. Yeah.
And so you sort of have this problem then that it does feel like it's blistering along trying to get the story going.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people talk about how it's so much bigger than the other one. And it is bigger because they've got a few extra realms, but it's just because realm travel exists from the beginning, it feels bigger.
Yeah.
Whilst you were very much contained in the first one, and I think to a level which was beneficial, that you had this sort of, we're going to explore this, rather than now you can go anywhere you want to. We're going to add all of these different bits.
It's also the gaming thing of, like, bigger isn't always better. No. Like, one of my honourable mentions this year is the Lego Star Wars.
Yeah.
Which suffers from being too
big. Yeah.
There's too much game in that game.
So,
but this is a lot of, like, you get plopped in and it goes, you're going to go to all the realms and here's all the stuff. You could have, like, delivered that a bit more, sort of drip fed it.
So, very minor spoiler here if you haven't played it. Very, very minor. So do skip ahead, a minute or so.
Yeah.
The issue I have with this is Atreus.
Yeah.
The way you now do it, you can now play as Kratos and Atreus in different sections. And I love the Kratos bits. The Atreus bits feel like a chore to me. Because they're like, here you go, here's all your lore dump. You've now done your fun exploring bits, now back to lore dump. Now fun exploring bits, now back to lore dump. And it doesn't feel like there's that give and take, which, I mean, I know they're different characters, but they don't do it.
Yeah. Like, I've done 2 of the Atreus bits.
Yeah.
One of them is not too bad. The other one is literally, as you're saying, it's slowly walking around doing menial tasks while the story is, like, said at you.
Yeah.
It's like,
don't really want to do this. And I think the biggest issue for me for this game, compared to the first one, is that I really cared about their dynamic, the father-son dynamic.
Yeah.
In this one, Atreus feels like a little twat. And I don't like it. And I really, in a different way, like, beforehand, he's like a kid who doesn't really understand what he's doing.
Yeah.
This kid now understands what he's doing, and he's making conscious decisions to be that annoying twat.
It is another one that is, like Horizon again, constrained to having to finish off the plot itself. Like, there's, I won't say what it is. There's, like, a big story beat at the end of the first one, and this game is basically entirely about that.
Yeah,
that is the central backbone of the plot. I almost think it would have been more impactful had that come out in this game.
Yeah.
Because this feels like it's trying to sort of keep the pace of that going, but it sort of lays its cards down quite early on.
I think if they get to the end and you see those things, they prophesize Ragnarok. I don't think it's a spoiler to say Ragnarok in the game. It's called Ragnarok. Prophesize that at the end, and they see that little bit where Kratos is concerned and hides it from Atreus.
Yeah.
That's a big enough reveal. And then at the beginning of this, you start discovering,
what
this means, and then you develop. And they could have done more with it, but this is all retrospectively. Yeah. Regardless, it's a superbly made game, really good. It's 50 hours to platinum for me, I think it's well worth it.
The note to make of it is we've listed all of these complaints we have and all these issues, and we both put it at number 3.
Because it is a great game.
So good.
It's going to take. It was far easier to list what was wrong with the game to not make it number 1 than it is to list what makes it number 3. Yeah. You know what I mean? There's so much to discuss in it. But that was number 3, and we've done your number 3, haven't we? Have we?
No.
Oh.
No.
Ooh.
We had the same number 3. We started from this end.
Yes. Yeah. You had the 4 that was...
Yeah.
So what's your number 3?
So my number 3 is Pokemon Scarlet and Violet.
Cool.
Okay.
Cool.
So...
not in my top 5.
I'll be playing it for Christmas.
It's Darren's Christmas game.
I very recently played this. Some people listening to this might have seen me stream it. I did, and...
Sweet stream plug.
Yeah. We stream now. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Yes, this game. And now, what you will learn from this, and the fact that obviously we already know that is it
Arceus?
Arceus.
Is in
the big
my
white pointy boy.
Yes, is in my top 5 as well. I'm a huge Pokemon fan. Any Pokemon game that comes out, I'm gonna get it, I'm gonna play it, and I'm probably gonna love it. But this does something really different. This is one of the, if not, Arceus went and tried going in that direction, but it was still quite linear. Whereas this is probably the first arguably open world Pokemon that we've ever had. You can play the gyms in any order. There are different side missions. There are 3 different kind of approaches you can take to the tasks that you do. And you can just go off and explore this world in any way you can. Now,
I will classify open world mainline Pokemon game.
Yes.
Because there are ones like Colosseum on the
Yeah.
Technically open world, but that was some weird RPG.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
That game's also great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great game. I think my game of the year is 2003.
I will say, I don't think it does. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, because as I said, I haven't played a huge amount of open world games. The problem I have with it is it's open world to an extent. So you, for example, you can play the gyms in any order, but some gyms, if you went to it as a beginner, you'd get the crap kicked out of you. Do you know what I mean? Which is understandable, because you're not going to have every gym as like a level 15. Do you know what I mean? But I would say that's probably the only thing that really lets it down. And also, obviously, there's a lot of bugs that people have said about. Some of the bugs that I've seen. Oh my god, guys! There's a lot of technical glitches. I will change the phrasing. Oh my god, that was a hell of a dad joke, boys. Fair play to you.
Sorry. I'm not that sorry.
The technical glitches that I've seen online have been hilarious, but they must be really frustrating to go through. I have not experienced a technical glitch yet. It's running really well for me. I've really enjoyed it. Some of the Pokemon, as we go on, I've always had a bit of a problem sometimes with the Pokemon design. For example, as cute as it is, there's an olive called Smoliv.
It's a small olive, yeah.
It's an olive.
Yeah.
Character has a seal called Seal. I will not have this discussion
I don't mind that because it's an animal. This is an olive.
It's still an olive.
The meatiest of all the vegetables.
Oh my god. In any case.
Is it a vegetable?
Probably.
Who knows?
I don't think it is it?
What a weird...
It's its own horrible classification.
Yeah.
Keep going, sorry.
Disgusting. So in any case, I am really enjoying it. I'm enjoying the kind of little customizations you can make to your character.
It's a fruit.
Oh my god.
That's even worse.
That is even worse.
Because it comes from a tree and there's a stone in it.
I'm going to pop my olives in a fruit salad now.
Oh, gross. Absolutely gross.
Wow, they come from lilac trees. Fun. No, wait, sorry, keep on. They come from olive trees.
Olives, yeah.
There's a lot of new things that you get in there straight away, and I don't want to say too much because there are things that I would like to talk about, but they would be spoilers, and I wouldn't want to do that. However, it's a really fun game to play. There are reasons why I don't think it's as good as Arceus, but I will discuss those later on.
Cool.
Okay, cool. So that was our number 3s.
That's number 3s.
Oh, everyone ready for number 2s? Karis, do you want to drop a number 2?
Okay, so mine is contentious and you're going to groan. Okay, so my number 2, my deuce in the bowl is Overwatch 2.
Fucking hell. Fucking number 2 game of the year.
Okay.
The podcast is over.
Listen,
I mean, value-wise, it's free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You haven't heard the other ones.
I would like to state my picks as to why I've put it at number 2 for me. Okay. Right. Because I know it's controversial. It's in the title. Yeah. Because I know it's controversial and I understand why.
To be honest, I was concerned you were going to say something like Phobia. So, in the grand scheme of things.
Phobia will never be in my top anything.
I think that's my bottom game of the year, actually. Sorry, go ahead.
Overwatch is something that I only started playing literally about 2 weeks before Overwatch 2 came out. So I had very, very limited experience of Overwatch 1. Having said that, as I've said before on previous freebies, there are a lot of things from Overwatch 1 that I do miss. However, for me, this is the first multiplayer game that I've played ever. This is the first time that I've ever been able to go in a voice chat, go with a group. So for sentimental reasons, for me, really more than anything, I really enjoyed Overwatch 2. I don't play things like Call of Duty. I don't have the skills for that. I can play Overwatch.
Neither do I, but I still play it.
And I really enjoyed going into groups, playing it. The kind of community that we have built, the community on Overwatch itself is very toxic, but we'll go into that another time. And
Blizzard.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So really, Overwatch 2 is less your player of the game, your number 2 game of the year, but more the playing
gaming experience.
Playing with friends and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
I will say, I think the general biggest complaint with Overwatch 2 is how little it adds compared to what it takes away from Overwatch 1.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
And
the
so if you
problem.
haven't been embedded in Overwatch 1, I can see why you would
Exactly,
love
yeah.
it.
I
And why it would be a huge, fun game. I
Yeah.
still have fun playing it.
It's
I
just it's not Overwatch 1.
Yeah, I'm disappointed with what it's taken out compared to what it's put in.
That's the only thing that I would say I was really debating about putting it lower, is that obviously it's about gaming experience. And this is no slight on you guys, but obviously because we do Overwatch, because it's Overwatch 2 now and it's not Overwatch 1, and the people that I play with were so attached to Overwatch 1, we don't really play anymore.
Yeah.
So it means that someone like myself, who was like, yes, I'm really into this is great, now doesn't have anybody to play with.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I get that.
it's for me, it's less about the game, it's more about the experience. I have had a lot of fun, and there were days where I would literally be like, I cannot wait to, I'm old, this is my new night out. It's a glass of wine and getting on the games with my friends.
and I genuinely think Overwatch 2 isn't a bad game. Oh, don't shoot me. That just don't take it out of context. It's just, again, as you said, it's not Overwatch 1, and because of that, I've grown resentful for what Overwatch 2 is. And it's not the game, I'm resentful for how they've bungled this.
Yeah.
If they brought out Overwatch 2, but kept Overwatch 1, I would still be playing, but I'd be playing Overwatch 1 and just not be on the Overwatch 2 servers. And that's why they've done it, because they know full well it would have divided the player base.
Yeah.
And they're making more money off of Overwatch 2.
Yeah. Of
course
But I can understand it. So, yeah.
Tis what tis.
Yeah.
I got no issue with it. It's
No.
just, I feel like I've been hurt by Blizzard.
Yeah, and to be fair, that's another reason why I was like, oh, am I going to do this? Because there are so many negatives about Overwatch 2 that I can understand.
Yeah.
But just from an experience point of view, I had to put it on.
Of course,
there.
yeah. But no, if you enjoy it, then it doesn't matter. It's your number 2.
Yeah.
So, my number 2 game of the year is Cult of the Lamb.
Is it really?
It's my number 2 game of the year. And I think that's not a negative. That's just Darren's been wanting to play Cult of the Lamb for a long time.
This is my number 1 game on games I wish I played this year. I was so excited about it. I was so amped up when I saw it. I wanted 100% in on it. And it was just one of those that sort of passed me by.
It's great. So have you seen anything for it, Karen?
I have no idea about Cult of the Lamb.
It came out at the same time as one of my top honourable mentions,
Yeah.
which we'll
Okay.
get to in a second.
So, but,
and I picked one over the other.
and you wish you'd done it the other way, do you? Reckon?
I don't. I'm happy with the decision I
Yeah.
made, but yeah, it's one of those ones that every time I see it now, I'm like,
Yeah. So it's got roguelike elements. You're a little lamb that's been sacrificed, and you come back for this beast, and then you are now leading a cult, which you get to name yourself. You go off, and you're going through dungeons, essentially, earning resources to bring back and saving members to convert into your cult. And then when between those bits of going into the dungeons, you come back and you have to maintain happiness of your cult followers, make sure they're like praying to you, getting enough resources, and then building things for them. And then if they're like, I don't trust you anymore, I've just sent, I have no things, you put them in stocks, and then you have to re-educate them.
Okay.
But you're trying to do that whilst also earning enough by going through these areas. But you leave for too long, they start fucking up. And they're like shitting everywhere and getting sick, so you have to make toilets. And it's just a real fun, different spin. It does 2 different sorts of games, both really, really well.
Yeah.
And it's
Okay.
a really fun and great visual style. So if you haven't played Cult of the Lamb, it's not that pricey either. I think it's about 20 quid.
it's 20 quid, yeah.
20 quid on most platforms. It's worth a smash if you've got some time.
Yeah, I think it might be one that I buy in Christmas sales if it comes up. Or even, like, I have a 3-week span of nothing to do, and it might be one I pick up in the midst of that and just knock it out.
Put it this way, they don't really do physical copies of games, Devolver. I am genuinely considering buying the physical copy of this game just because I love this game that much that I would like to have a physical version of it.
Yeah, I get that.
So that's my number 2, Cult of the Lamb. Out of left field, Darren had no idea this was coming.
I didn't think it'd be that good. I didn't think you'd think it'd be that good. It's almost kind of reassuring to me to go buy it.
It's better than God of War for me.
Well, yeah, we all knew that.
Yeah, that's how crazy it is that I put it that high.
Okay, my number 2. My number 2 game is a lovely little ditty from February called Ollie Ollie World.
Oh, I knew this was going to be in your top 5. I knew it.
Fucking hell,
It's not my number 1 game, so you're fine to talk
I'm
about
safe
it.
to go.
Yeah.
This game fucking changed me, boys and girls. I'd heard about it. I have another gaming podcast to listen to, and I saw 3 games being discussed, and 2 of them were games I already had my eye on, which were Dying Light 2 and Sifu.
Yeah.
And the 3rd game being discussed was Ollie Ollie World. And I went, oh, I like the art style of that. It's mimicking like Adventure Time style art.
Yeah.
That sort of like style. And the guy was talking about it, and he seemed really positive. I went, oh, you know what? That normally lines up. And it was like 20, 25 quid. And I installed it. I switched on. I played the tutorial. I played that game, I think, solidly for like 3 weeks. For context of why this is so high, I think the next game we mention as our number 1 game is the best game I played this year. This tore me away from that.
Okay.
Right, yeah.
Play Ollie Ollie World from start to finish to platinum.
Oh my god.
And then you went back to it. Yeah.
On PSN Profiles, which is the big PlayStation sort of trophy tracking website,
Yeah.
it has like 2.7% of people have platinum. I'm one of them. I played it all the way through to the platinum. I had a blast. It controls like a fucking dream. It looks beautiful. It animates great. Has a lovely sense of humour.
So I haven't played this, but I've played the earlier ones that they've had of them, and I've really enjoyed what they were. But there were bits that I thought, this is a bit clunky. This could be more. And looking at it, you go, they fixed all of that.
It's so smooth.
They've done everything you wanted them to do with this game. It now looks exactly what I want.
Yeah.
And it's one that I've had my eye on. So it's again one of my I wish I played lists, but I just haven't. I haven't pulled the trigger on it.
It's like Tony Hawk's if it was 2D and on LSD. It's got this beautiful sort of colourful start. The plot is you are going to please the 4 gods of skating so you can ascend to be skate god in the world of Radlandia, is what it's called.
That sounds
This
class.
game's fucking great. I think everyone should play this.
Oh my God.
Like, you may not get on with it just because it has a relatively low skill floor.
Okay.
And the skill ceiling is somewhere in the vicinity of Mars.
Right, okay.
Really hard to master, especially when you get to the later challenges of like get the score, do the whole thing in one combo, or do so many like flip tricks.
You're giving me like flashbacks to Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, and I don't want to.
Some of those are like, oh god, I think I spent like an hour on one where you had to do so many flips in a tiny level, so
right?
in one combo, so you had to like ramp, flip, hit, manual, flip, manual, flip, manual, flip, manual, up the next ramp.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
But it's fucking great. It's so good.
Well, I mean, I didn't need extra help to try and get that one, but it's probably going to be gone. But that's all our 5-2. So it might be worth doing some honourable mentions of games that we've played that didn't make it onto our list.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have any.
I don't have any, so I'm happy just to kind of nod and agree with you guys for this.
I'll say a couple because I reckon at least one of these crosses with Darren. I think the new Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 and subsequently Warzone 2 worth a nod. They were both. They were good. They were like the 2018 Call of Duty. They're the best Call of Duty since that one. They control well. They're fine. They're fun. I don't hate the campaign as much as everyone else.
I really liked it. So. It may have snuck into a top 10, but not top 5.
Not worth. Not that good.
It's not a top 5 game. No.
For me, Cyberpunk 2077 I think deserves a nod again because it had the PS5 release, which is why I'm bringing it up. Technically, it didn't come out this year. It came out 2 years ago. Great game. Well worth it. But the one that I'm going to talk about briefly, because it's my number 6, is Power Wash Simulator.
Cool.
It almost, It almost knocked out Horizon Forbidden West. It is one of the most satisfying games, just sitting there and cleaning muck off of a vehicle, off of gardens, off of all sorts, just clearing it all out, different nozzles, jumping. It's
oh my god,
simple in premise, but satisfying. It's like what I wish Cooking Mama was.
The worst bit is I haven't played it, but I'm completely with you.
Yeah.
Have you played Viscera Cleanup?
No.
Viscera Cleanup is a similar style game where you play as a janitor following first-person shooter levels.
Great.
So there's like blood and body parts everywhere, and you walk around with a mop and bucket.
Oh my god, that is
That's
class.
a great podcast game.
Yes.
Like put a podcast on, put your headphones on, 2 hours, just cleaning blood off the walls.
That sounds
sounds class.
But I've got a few other ones on there. Also want to mention that obviously Callisto Protocol's only just come out, so I haven't given that enough time to give that discussion. Literally, I got it 2 days ago. Same for Midnight Suns. I got it 2 days ago. I couldn't possibly say if it's good or bad. And also Shredder's Revenge, which I got about a week ago. I've not had time to play it. So they're all up there, but we'll have a discussion, I suppose, in things we've played.
Some other mentions, Kirby and the Forgotten Land is a beautiful, precious little game, and I love it so much.
That is on my list of wish I could have played this year.
That very much was my number 5 flip-flop with Horizon. That game is so cute and so sweet and just fun.
We could have done this list without mentioning Horizon Forbidden West.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fucking Rollerdrome, which I mentioned in our last Freebies episode.
Again on my list.
Is an absolute star of a game. What else? Lego Star Wars was fun.
Lego Star Wars
was on your list.
Was actually, we have played that and it was fun. That's an honourable mention for me too.
It's too much game.
Yeah, it's huge. Absolutely huge. But did I really enjoy playing as Qui-Gon Jinn in episode 2, where technically he had died, and just annoying the shit out of him when he was Obi-Wan Kenobi.
100%. Yeah.
It was amazing.
But and like it was on our list, but Stray was
there as well
somewhere. But yeah, it was generally a good year.
Yeah, I think it was a really good year. I think February was potentially the strongest month.
Yeah.
He says knowing full well what number ones are coming up. Yeah. What we'll do then, we'll start with you, Karis, because I think everyone knows what your number one game is, because you've already told Darren not to mention it. So.
We've said the game is further up and it hasn't come up
So
yet.
Karis, what is your number one?
My number one is Pokemon Arceus Legends. I obsessed over this game. What a wonderful new direction that they took that in. For those of you who haven't played it, it's not set in like a modern Pokemon world. It is set in the past. Everything is really almost like it's got like a traditional, almost it's like a amalgamation of Korean and old Korean and Japanese cultures. And it's just lovely. You just do things so differently. Everything has a much more stripped back approach to it. The story is great. There's a good level of challenge in it, because sometimes I do find with Pokemon games, they have a tendency to be a little bit too easy.
Yeah.
That I'm finding a little bit with Scarlet and Violet. I didn't find that with this one. I thought the areas you had to go to and the worlds you had to go to, even though this was a linear game, it was really fun to explore. There was just so much about it that I just thought was awesome. I definitely think it's the best Pokemon game that's come out ever. Ever. I know you're.
Wow.
I nostalgia wise,
I like it.
Nostalgia wise, obviously, it doesn't pair up to the old games, but as far as I'm concerned, I do think it is the best Pokemon game. And
my God, there's some real cancelable ideas right now.
I don't care. Cancel me if you want to, but I loved that game. I thought it was great.
No,
I
fair
thought
enough.
it was really great.
I think it's a lot of fun. I think the new way they did the Pokedex in this game is so cool.
Yes.
With like the little sort of mission structure, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how the world ropes into the other Pokemon games?
I don't massively. It doesn't.
So this is the world of Diamond and Pearl.
Oh, sweet.
Years and years in the past. So you're in. I can't remember the name of the town.
Yeah.
But it is a city in Diamond and Pearl. So
oh,
essentially
nice.
That's how that's built up.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was a lot of fun. It only reached sort of number 4 for me.
Yeah.
Because I felt like, I don't know, I felt like it lost steam a bit.
Yeah, I get you in that.
I think
do.
some of the new designs they did specifically for this one aren't their strongest, and I think it does sort of, again, it was sort of a bit like how I felt about Stray, where it became very apparent after about Zone 2 what this game was going to be, and it just sort of continued being that, and it was fun, but I don't know, I feel like I wanted it to take another leap or another step.
I get you.
And it just
I get you.
Didn't take that.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. I mean, perhaps I'm looking at it a little bit rose-colored glasses-ish, because as I said, if it's a Pokemon game, I'm going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But I just felt like this was a really new direction for it. So.
There's no shame in being a stan. No shame in doing it. No.
And
love what you love.
Yeah.
Me and Darren are saying that knowing full well what our number ones are going to be.
So yeah, it's my number one, just because I just fucking loved it. I really did. And anybody who disagrees with me that it's the best Pokemon game in the world, that's fine. But you can fight me.
Yeah, we don't want to do that. No. So me and Darren definitely have the same number one because it's not been mentioned.
What's your number one, Josh?
It's the same as yours. It's Elden Ring.
It's not. No, I'm fucking with you.
Yeah, it's Elden Ring. It's definitely Elden Ring for me. I played the shit out of that game. Played the literal living... I mean, I platinumed it. You've platinumed it.
Yeah.
We both are sadists for doing that, I imagine. Yeah. But there was something about this, and I spoke to someone recently and who didn't like this game. But the reason they didn't like this game is the same reason I liked this game. So it's very much a chalk or cheese. But it's a Soulsborne game, open world, far more, I would say, clear in its story than the previous things have been. There's no much listening to doors to work out what's going on. It's very much, hey, I'm going to tell you a bunch of shit now. You're like, oh, cool, that's really good. That's what's going on. And there are so many open world places to go. You can literally go somewhere you shouldn't go. Be absolutely massacred. What was the place?
Caelid.
Caelid. You go to Caelid, like, this is logically where I should be going now. And then these giant birds and dogs come at you and rip you to pieces. Like, awesome. I'll come back to you later. But it's so much... There is so much content in this, and at no point do I feel like copy paste. Yeah, there's a few dungeons underground that are like that, but it's not like, oh god, another one of these. You're like, cool, I'm in this dungeon, I gotta get through it to get an item that's gonna help me move on. And you get an item, you go, what the fuck is this for? And then 4 hours later, a mission goes, I need you to retrieve this item. You're like, oh, okay, this is what this is for. You know, it's that sort of thing. And you go, oh, go help my friend at this point. Like, I saw someone stood on that bridge. I'll run the whole way back to this and to talk to this person. Not run. I'll jump on my weird goat thing.
Goat horse thing.
Goat horse. And I just thought it was a magical experience. It's one of my favourite of the Soulsborne games. And I just think it was very well constructed. I know the whole thing was, George R.R. Martin's involved in this. And to be honest, I couldn't give two fucks if he's involved in it or not. But it may have been very well had some of his elements in there.
Yeah. I don't want to repeat the same point I always make. Beautiful game.
I don't think it's as attractive as God of War or Forbidden West. It's got its own weird... It's got Soulsborne beauty, which is weird.
It's similar to how Demon Souls looked. The Demon Souls remake looked. I just think it's one of the most inviting, not in the sense of it being nice, but in the sense of it being interesting, open worlds.
Yeah.
And this is like, this is something I've heard a lot in sort of in a discussion of people who didn't like Breath of the Wild wanted this game.
Yeah.
Because it's an open world game, you can sort of go anywhere, but it feels like it has purpose, and it feels like there is progression. As you say, I can go to Caelid straight away, and I will get my shit kicked in, because I'm not meant to be there. But I can go there, and I can try and power through.
That's the thing, you can go there, and you can run past everything if you really want to, if you think you're fast enough, but you're going to get deep in there, and then you're stuck there.
Yeah, like there's a boss you're meant to do first, and I went the wrong way. And I beat the first story boss.
Right.
And then went, oh, there's a boss there?
Yeah.
And I ran back and fucking carved through it and killed him. And cool.
It's good. But this is
lovely.
It's a real satisfying game. It's one of those ones, I mean, I think it's been out long enough we can sort of talk about it, but obviously it's like, is it Millennia?
Yeah.
A lot of people hated Millennia because she was so hard. I found her really nice. I was fortunate. I got through it in like, I think 1 or 2 tries.
Yeah.
And it was the same with, what's his name?
Radan.
I was fortunate when I happened to play it. It happened to be when they did the fix, so he was much easier. And by the time I think you got there, they did the second fix, which made him much harder again. But like, it's a lot of discussion. I think if you go and play it and you've never played a Soulsborne game, I think this is a very inviting one to go into first.
Yeah, I just think it's a fascinating world. It's a fascinating story. It's the one game on this list, I will say, that I've most been like, I should go back to that.
Yeah,
I should play that again from start to finish, and it's huge. And I know it's going to be a commitment, but I just want to experience that world and that lore and that environment again. Like, there's a whole area hidden underground where the ceiling is stars.
Yeah.
And it's incredible. And you stumble into it. And you're like, fuck.
I keep waiting for this DLC to come out.
Yeah.
Like, there's going to be some DLC that comes out, and when it does that, I'm loading it back up again, and I'm going back from the beginning and playing through it all.
Yeah.
And I'm going to love it again.
I will say, it's not perfect.
Oh, no.
I think it also suffers from running out of steam a bit at the end.
Yeah, I think because of how I played it, I happened to get to do boss. So like I did like 4 bosses in a row to get to the end. The final boss is a fucking dick, though.
Yeah.
Final boss is a dick.
I think
Because I thought I beat the final boss, and they went, "Oh no, there's another boss," and you beat that boss. You go, "Oh wait, another boss."
We said it's been out long enough to discuss it.
Yeah.
I think Farum Azula is a bit underwhelming.
Yes, very much
and
so.
like the final boss is not great.
Or the Elden Beast.
The Elden Beast, even if Hoaralou and Radagon leading up to it are great bosses.
Yeah,
but it very much rides such its biggest failing is that it's so good
the rest of the time.
Yeah. Is that you get to like Farum Azula and the boss of that, and then sort of the end boss, and it very much goes from peak, and then sort of wobbles a little bit, which feels so bad comparatively, just because the first...
And by feels so bad, it doesn't feel bad.
No, it still feels good, but the first 80% feels so insanely polished and high quality that it's like,
yeah,
it's just still fun, but boy, what could have been.
Well, yeah, and that's our top 5
Top
list.
5.
Yeah. A lot of similarities. Big takeaways. I think Keris hasn't played many of the games.
No.
But
I think it's a mission now that we know this is happening.
Yeah.
Play a lot more games next year.
Absolutely.
Have rounded lists.
Definitely.
Maybe we'll do 10s.
Who knows? Who knows what we'll do next year? But before, so we've got a few other little categories, but I want to just sort of dwell on games we potentially missed and that we wish we'd played. Are there any games that you wish you'd played that came out this year?
Yeah, a few. I haven't mentioned the Quarry one that I think I have missed is The Devil in Me. I'm really interested in the story of that. From what I've read, it looks really intriguing. Another one that I begrudgingly wish I'd played is, I don't, some people might have seen this when we were first kind of announcing what we were doing with the podcast, and we talked about games that were quite controversial, or what was it, games that everybody else liked but you didn't like.
Yeah.
And my answer was Bayonetta. Now, there's nothing wrong with Bayonetta as a game, it's fun. I just felt it made me slightly uncomfortable for reasons I won't go into now. However, I have not played Bayonetta since the first one. The third one looks pretty cool, although I know it has come with some issues about like underpaying actors and stuff like that.
That was it's all been overturned.
It's been now, okay, but
been resolved.
I know that if I was going to jump back into it, I feel like now that I'm a little bit older and less cringy, like susceptible to cringe, I could get something out of it. So that's one I definitely think.
That is like the thing with Bayonetta, I think, is that is its vibe.
Yeah.
And if you bounced off that vibe when you were younger for whatever reason, it's now the time to go, okay. Now I can be on board with that vibe, I might get more out of it.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say 3 games. There's loads of games that I wish I played, but I'm going to choose 3 games that I wish I played that I haven't touched. I just think it's going to be easier. Dying Light 2.
Yeah.
I'm just going to try and avoid ones that I think you're going to say. So Dying Light 2, I think it would be fun to go in at the first part and just go in with a bunch of people. Would have been good fun. Also, I like the idea of Scorn.
That looks cool.
It looked really fun, different, and for me, also Neon White. I wish I'd gone in and touched. Those are the 3 ones that I would have done. Anything from you? Have you got like 3 or 4 games?
I got like 3 or 4, yeah. As I said during the top 5s, Cult of the Lamb, 100%. Sonic Frontiers, I really want to try, just because I want to see if it's at least competent.
Yeah.
Because I love a good Sonic game. What else? Tunic.
Yeah, that was
really wanted to play that beautiful little fox.
Yep.
And then there's been a few like mid-tier Switch ones. It's like Triangle Strategy, Live Alive, and Harvestella.
Yeah.
Are all ones I wanted to give a go, and just they never managed to come to me. But I have a list of like 15 games.
Yeah, so I thought you were going to say Sifu, so I didn't mention that one.
Oh, Sifu a little bit, yeah.
And Evil West is the other one that I wish I touched on. And again, like Last of Us Part 1 and stuff like that. Because, they'll be great. Anyway, should we move on to our little category sections?
Yes, sweet.
I can't remember what they are. There's only 3 categories we've done this time, and we're not going to be fighting for victory. We're each just going to propose our one, and it might be that we put out to you guys, and then you guys can vote for it.
Yeah.
And we can do it that way, and then we'll put a picture up about which one we think is the answer. So the first one we're going to do, actually, we can't really vote on this one, but it's the best game we've played this year that didn't come out this year. So what was our favourite game we've played this year that didn't come out this year?
Cool.
I haven't gone first for any of them, so I'm just going to go first on this one.
Cool.
For me, it's Bloodborne.
Good.
I platinum Bloodborne this year. I had got stuck on the amygdala ages ago, and although he's an optional boss, but he was a twat.
That boss is a twat.
Couldn't work out what it was, so I started again.
Got to break its knees.
Basically, that's it. And then I beat him in like 2 goes when I started from the very beginning.
Yeah.
But I platinumed it immediately after platinuming Elden Ring because I'm a sadist. Then I started doing Demon Souls.
Hell yeah.
And I stopped partway through. I thought, you got to stop hating yourself. But Bloodborne is my favourite of the Soulsborne games. I think it's the best one. It's just something about it really speaks to me. It's a beautifully made game, lovely graphics, general feel of it. I mentioned it to one of my sisters the other day. She said, I loved watching you play that game. and she doesn't play games, but it was just the general vibe.
Yeah.
Of it all. Cannot speak of how good it is as a game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'll go. I am denied between a few because I've played a lot of good games this year. My 2 good game honorable mentions are Returnal and the Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Cool.
Both of which are very good. My favourite game I played this year that did not come out this year is Tales of Arise.
Lovely.
Which was my game of last year, my best game of 2021. It is absolutely delightful. It is the most anime bullshit you will ever experience in your life, but it shines because of it. Everyone is very like, this is my character flaw. As we continue the game, we will uncover my character flaw, and I will fix my character flaw.
Right.
Aww.
It's so beautifully just sugary bullshit.
Yeah.
It's exactly your sort of weak lines these days.
Exactly. But it's, again, not to say again, it's a beautiful game. But
I don't like how close you got to the mic there, Darren.
It plays
rough.
absolutely beautifully. It's got this lovely plot, lovely characters. It's all just so nice and fun. Mm-hmm. And it was just a good time I think I played at the start of February, end of January. So in the middle of winter, you're like, let's go on a happy adventure. Yeah. It'll be lovely. But could not recommend it enough.
Brilliant.
Class.
Awesome. Well, in somewhat predictable fashion, my favorite game that did not come out this year that I played was Resident Evil 8. So
what?
I platinumed. I know, shock, the shock. I platinumed Resident Evil 8 in the first half of this year. The DLC obviously came out this year, so I'm not going to touch on it too much. And we've talked about it briefly before. I loved this game. I didn't love it as much as 7, for various reasons, but it just mostly because it's a much larger game. It's got a lot more environment to it, but that's also why I loved it. I don't think that I have played a game this year yet that has left me with as much like I could jump back in and play that again immediately.
That's because you haven't played Power Washing Simulator.
No.
That is true. That is true. I think it's got really good replayability. Yeah. I know that there's some debate about that in there, but I think from the point of view of when I was getting the platinum for it, with the exception of the mercenaries levels, which are voluntary and I put myself through them because I hate myself.
Yep.
I really did enjoy every minute of getting that platinum in the mainline story. I'm really excited for what they do next, albeit nervous. I just love it.
Cool.
I love it. I do.
Some good games there.
Yeah.
Obviously, those are games we've chosen to play and we've gone out of our way to find them. So we've got another category, which is, I think, a bit more in keeping with the theme of our general podcast, which is us being cheap, is... Which is the best PS Plus game this year?
Yes.
So we're looking at all the ones from January all the way up until the end of December, but we're only looking at the essential ones. So, we get 3 every month. If you're on basic PS, you get. Karis, do you want to start this time? We'll go around this way.
So this was one I was quite shocked was on PS Plus because it's such a big game. But for me, it's God of War, which almost got... The only reason I didn't pick this instead of Resi 8 was because I wanted to put it in this category. Yeah. What a fucking game God of War is. Yeah. I mean, I've never played it before. I always kind of brushed it off as kind of like, oh, it's not really my thing. Josh said, hey, it's on PS Plus, give it a download, see what you think. And I just totally fell in love with it. What a game, what a story. In the words of Darren, it's a beautiful game.
It is a beautiful game.
And I can't wait to finish it and see what happens with Ragnarok. It's just thrown me into a completely new world that I didn't think that I would enjoy.
I think we've already talked about the glowing things about 1 when we're talking about Ragnarok, but it is
one of the things I do love about it is I played God of War 3, of the original ones, and then came into this, and it's amazing to see how immediate the shift in tone and focus is.
Yeah.
Where it starts, you go, oh, everyone here has grown up a bit. It's not quite the right word, but
there's a maturity a bit more.
Yeah, the original one was Kratos hacking and slashing, and he in God of War 3, within the first 10 minutes, you've jammed out Poseidon's eyes.
Yeah.
And then you come into this, and you're being serious and you're having a really solemn moment. It's like, oh, okay.
I think that's one of the things that I really enjoyed about God of War is the emotion in it. I love Resi but it's not, it strives for emotion, whereas I don't think it ever really reaches any kind of emotion apart from fear. Ethan Winters, I love him as a character, but he is a bit bland
he's
and
the everyman,
emotionless.
He's not meant to be.
They strive for a bit of emotion in 8, but at times it often comes across as a little hammy. Whereas, and I mean, this may be a bit of bias from me as a person who was forced to watch Stargate SG-1 as a child, but Christopher Judge, man.
He's so good.
He played Teal'c in Stargate SG-1, by the way.
She-Hulk in SG-1.
Cool.
He is just the voice acting in it is so good, and he, for someone who has quite a gruff, monotone way about him, the amount of emotion that is conveyed in his voice acting is phenomenal.
And also, not to get weirdly, like, I suppose, emotions based about it, that's what we've been saying. It's a really interesting portrayal of a father-son relationship in game that you don't see much.
No.
Yeah.
You see a lot of, like, father-daughter or mother either. But it's a really, especially because it's this, Kratos portrays like this ideal of masculinity. He's a big, buff, silent, strong man. And it's interesting watching them grow together throughout the game as this like father-son pairing.
Big, strong, gruff man again?
Big, strong, gruff man.
Thank you.
But when you say
For
that,
those not watching, I'm very small.
But I think it's interesting you say that as well, because on top of that, then you've got this, what I think is an insanely good portrayal of grief and what the process that you go through when you grieve and what you do to overcome that grief and the little rituals that you go through in everyday life in a modern sense, let alone the kind of, we're literally taking her body to, you know,
discuss the ashes.
I think for this father-son relationship and the portrayal of grief, it's just awesome. It's got so many layers to it. It's great.
Yeah, I could wax lyrical about this game all the time.
It's a great game.
The further I removed I am from the game, the more I love the game. It's one of those things I keep putting higher on a pedestal.
I need to play it again.
So Darren, what is your PS Plus game of the year?
My PS Plus game was right from January. And it is the absolute banger that is Deep Rock Galactic.
That was going to be mine, so I'll think of another.
Because it is very much what a PS Plus game should be, I think. Where if I'd seen it, I would have gone, that looks interesting. That I probably wouldn't have bought it because it's not a beautiful game. It's a real... It's got its style. It's not beautiful.
It's not beautiful. I was going to try and argue for it, but no. For Carl! Yeah,
it's a very good representation of the art style it's going for, which is very angular, is the word I use.
Polyhedral.
Yeah, but fucking hell, it's fun.
It's
just half-hour chunks of real dumb, shooty fun.
The amount of time me and you were playing it, Darren, on that, and then we got... my sister in to play with us. It was like a 3-person team of just dwarves digging for shit. And you're like, what? And Keris would come in and go, what the hell are you playing? Like, Rock and Stone. We're just digging and fighting bugs and we're getting out there.
My fondest memory of it is there's a mission type where you do refineries. And the whole purpose of the mission essentially is there are 3 oil wells in the room you're loaded into, and you have to take pipes from your central hub to the hubs, and you can grind on the pipes. And Josh built a pipe, and it was very simple. It went very much from A to B. I started building the next pipe on the wrong direction, so I had to get over the pipe. So I built this fucking horrible climb up, like random bits of jagged rock. And I'm off doing the 3rd pipe, and I just like see his little icon go over there and go, what the fuck? I'm like, I was on the wrong side.
Oh God. I mean, it got to the point where you were getting, Josh, so excited to play this, right? And you were playing it so often that I would come into the room, and I'll have to like do an audio description of this for people who aren't watching it on YouTube, but you'd be sat on the sofa and he'd go, I'm going to go play games with Darren for a bit, okay? And I'd go, oh, cool, what are you playing? And you just literally look at me like this.
Yep.
With an arm up, shaking it, and I'd go, oh... I didn't know what the name of it, so I would say, the Mining Dwarf game, and then he'd go, Rock and Stone!
Just as a final note from me to how much this invaded our lives.
Oh, it's our chat.
In Josh and I's chat together on Messenger, our thumbs up icon is a pickaxe. And we used to just send pickaxe, and you'd get pickaxe back, and then you'd both load the party up.
It's that simple. But it was me mine for that very same reason. However, I am going for Mass Effect Legendary Edition, which is coming out in December. It contains my favourite game of all time, which is Mass Effect 2. I just think it's a phenomenal game selection. I know a lot of people are unhappy with how 3 ended up, but I think it's one of those stories that are so good from start to finish. You start it with a problem, you solve it in the last one. You need those 3 games. Number 2 is a masterpiece in it all, and it's when Obsidian was good. Oh no, I've seen BioWare. Sorry, BioWare was good, and you're like, oh god, I wish BioWare was back to being what it should have been. But it's not. It's genuinely you've either already played Mass Effect, or you already know the effects of Mass Effect, and you should give it a go. 1 is clunky, a bit of a rough ride to get into it, but I got it. I platinumed that one when I played it through, so it's very much doing. And also, it's 4 platinums that game.
Yep,
4 platinums just for completing the 3 games. You basically get another platinum.
I love it.
So extra benefits. But those are our games on PS Plus. And the final thing we're going to discuss is, very briefly, each of us are going to decide on a game that we're most looking forward to next year. Darren, you're the only one who hasn't started, so do you want to start?
I am nard over this one,
but
I think I have settled on Marvel Spider-Man 2.
Cool.
I think it's... the first one is great. I think it is some of the most fun I've had playing a game. I don't know if it's the best game I've ever played. It is so fun just in how it controls and how it plays. The Miles Morales came out. It was a great introduction of like the PS5 hardware, and it was a fun little addition. And then seeing both of them will be in the game together, so you get more evolution of that relationship, which is really interesting. Venom's in this one. Kraven the Hunter's in this one.
It's looking great stuff.
It's cool, especially because in the first one, they just sort of introduced and then rattled off the Sinister Six real fast.
They did.
So it's nice for this one to see they're going in this sort of direction. They're going to introduce all new villains. They're going to build on that relationship. But I just, especially with what they did with the first one and seeing the cool developments they made in Miles Morales, I'm so excited to see what they do with this one.
Very excited for it as well. Karis, what are you going for?
So I also really kind of ummed and ah about this, but every time there was a clear one for me, and putting aside any of the things that J.K. Rowling has done in the media, I absolutely love the world and the story of Harry Potter. And I say putting aside lightly because I think she's a dickhead, but I am really excited for Hogwarts Legacy. This is the game that I wanted, right, since I played the fucking Harry Potter Philosopher's Stone game on the PC when I was like a tiny kid.
Hagrid.
Yes! Single pixel Hagrid.
Yes! The chance to create a character, be put in a house, and get to live as if I am in fucking Hogwarts, and the sheer scope of the game from the trailers, I am so excited that I'm gonna like piss my pants. I am really excited about it.
It looks really good. I think what you two have mentioned are probably like my top 5 games for next year that I'm really excited for. The one I'm going to go for is Starfield, which is frustrating as PS5 owners, all of us. But I'll get it on PC. It'll be fine. But yeah, it's the next Bethesda game in space this time.
Yeah.
I hope it's good. I'd rather an Elder Scrolls 6, but I will take this and be happy with what I'm given. I will keep suckling at that teat, hoping for more and more. I'm not going to go into much because I don't actually think it's going to come out next year. I think they're going to push it back even further. But then my other one is Skull and Bones, and that's been pushed back for 600 years, so that's not coming out ever.
If we can honourable mention a game I think will get pushed back, Pikmin 4.
Pikmin 4 will get pushed back.
Oh, it's so bad.
Oh, it's definitely getting pushed back.
Pikmin.
It's definitely getting pushed back.
So much.
But yeah, that is our summary of 2022. Really good year. February was a solid month.
Really good.
Front end and the very back end. Middle was a bit of a wasteland, really.
Yeah.
But really good game, all in general. Really good year, all in general, for games. Yeah. Very excited for what next year's going to hold if all those games do come out.
Yeah.
And that's it, really.
It'd be grand. Yeah.
Yes.
Very much looking forward to it. We'll play more games.
Yeah.
Of course.
So thank you for joining us on this little exploration of our year. And we appreciate you all being here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you all. See you in 2023.
Yeah. Have a Merry fucking Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
And a Happy New Year.
Merry Chrysler.
And
Merry Christmas.
So thank you for being our Player 4. Do check us out on socials at Discount Pod.
2 C's.
2 C's. That's on Instagram. That's on YouTube. That's on Twitch as well.
Yeah. And if it has a hyphen, it's fake.
And if there's a it's a long day. We're done now.
The alfalfa.
Sorry, yes, I am Lenny. I'm just outside back waiting for it to be shot in the back. Thank you all for being here. We really do appreciate it. You've made our year really special as well. We're happy to be here. And
we promise Karis will play at least 10 games.
Yes, she will play at least 10 games next year.
I know I'm going to be in a podcast next year now, so I've got a goal.
Perfect. Well, that's it. That's us done. Let's turn it off and get on with our fucking Christmas.
Discount Podcast.